friends, simple Dhamma for daily life is returning, as I have just completed 3 months of seclusion in a beautiful monastery, and before that I completed 2 months in another monastery in another part of Canada. And while there was less seclusion in the monastery in Ontario, it wasn't yet so close to visitors due to COVID. I didn't stay long enough to gather full insights, but at Briken Forest Monastery I did stay 3 months, and it was unique in its own way. First of all, because of the weather, and which makes movement quite cumbersome. Secondly, because of the location, and not only the location, but as well the closure of the monastery due to COVID, so no visitors. And the location is about 10 kilometers away from any other neighbor in the luscious frozen forest. And third, because we were just about 10 persons, so it's a 4-fold Sangha of 4 monastics and 6 laypersons, so that's quite small. And not only is that small in terms of numbers, it's also small in the sense that because of the type of weather and because of the lack of visitors, there is very little to do. So there was a lot of time available to study, read, meditate. When the weather was good, I would just go and have long walks in the mountains. And so it was an interesting experience, cooking for the Sangha 3 times a week and wandering around the rest of the time. Then it was also very unique for the temperature, as I'm not really accustomed to such a freezing weather. And several insights have been gained from my stay at both monasteries. As a matter of fact, it's been now almost a year that I spent in just monasteries, and there's a thought that reached me this morning, and that I wanted to share with you, and that is, when the path of Buddhism is vast, there is one Buddhism, in the sense that there is one path, one journey. No, not one journey. There is one stream. In terms of religion, there is one stream, and that is Buddhist stream, and then there are many paths, many journeys in that stream. Like in any stream, there are different types and different species of fish and water beings, water animals. So it could be fishes, it could be different types. Fishes that swim in the cold water, and fishes that prefer to swim below a certain level, and etc. So that's the same for Buddhism. There are different journeys possible. The monastic journey is not compulsory to practice Buddhism. And there are many ways to practice simple Dhamma for daily life, remaining in the course of mundane activities such as work, job, marriage, children, and from my perspective, it is quite interesting to maintain an open-mindedness with regard to all the schools available within Buddhism. Is a package, because Buddhism this is not really, it is a religion, but it's not really, it's definitely not an institutionalized religion, such as monotheistic religions, or even other religions, even including non-monotheistic, such as Hinduism, simply because there are no institutions that regulate the coming and going, the practices, the disciplines, even the holidays, and even the calendars. Every school, each school, and each tradition has its own practices and own customs, and that distinguishes Buddhism from many other so-called religion. But mainly, Buddhism is not a religion in the sense as other religions. It's a training of the mind, so it's an education system. And in that, I quote Ajahn Jayasaro, who has been a bhikkhu for about almost 40 years, and who lives in a monastery in the Isan province of Thailand. He repeats that quite often, that Buddhism is an education system. It's a training of the mind, and a training of behavior, and training of lifestyle, rather than just a practice, and including a devotional practice. So many people come to Buddhism from different types of so-called streams. Some people come just for devotion, some people come for Dhamma talks, some people come in for study, some people come in for meditation and investigation of the mind, and some people come because they have deep suffering, some people trying to understand the meaning of life, some people trying to understand what does it mean to be alive, what does it mean to have to act, what does it mean to be a human being, how is it possible to better one's own life. So in that sense, Buddhism is more of an educational system rather than just a religion that you do and then it remains outside. And once you step out of so-called the place of practice, then whatever it is being eaten and whatever is being done seems to be disconnected from that. So I'd like to encourage everyone to maintain open-mindedness in terms of that aspect of education of the mind, and the tools that are available for this training of the mind and training of the behavior, training of the lifestyle. So I hear sometimes some practitioners say, in the Mahayana system they do this, or in the Zen tradition they do that, and that is not sufficient, that is not what the Buddha said. Or these in the forest tradition, they are very orthodox and very conservative, or in the other, it's not about manifesting or expressing the differences. It's rather more unifying it and maintaining the open-mindedness of seeing others simply as being on the same journey. They're on the same journey. They're trying to be better persons, and everyone has a different capacity of putting that into practice, to absorb the study. Some people are very, very versed in understanding the Dhamma. Some other people are very, very versed in practicing the Dhamma. Some people are very versed in teaching the Dhamma. Some others are very spontaneous at being good listeners or compassionate, etc. So there also are different types of teachers. And it often happens in monasteries that we talk about different ways of seeing, for instance, cooking skills, or different ways to even different ways of cooking the meat, or simply different ways of approaching a walk in the forest, simple ways of understanding a Dhamma talk, or simple bowing or everything. And it often happens that I say, oh, I hear that teacher, I like that teacher, I prefer this teacher, I like this, I prefer this, etc., etc. The thing is, there are different types of teachers, because there are different types of human beings, and not everyone will resonate with the same teacher. And there are teachers, again, I say, that will also resonate with the same in the same life of the same person. Certain teachers will appear at certain time with messages that are truly resonating very strongly with what needs to be heard at that time. And then once that is heard, that's it, we can move on. There's other teacher will appear. This is just continue. And there are also other people who never leave one monastery to just very serving the same teacher over and over. So that is different, and that is not to be judged, and that is not to be generating views and opinion about it. And the open-mindedness also applies to maintaining open-mindedness in this quality of listening to various teachers, even listening to maybe what we want to hear. Some teacher will come and will say certain things, doesn't resonate at that moment, but it actually tickles an aspect of either our mind or behavior or something that we might not yet have the revelation for. We might not have had insights about, but maybe because certain things might be seen from the outside that we very subtle, that we are not aware. And I have become aware of all of that in the past 5 months, straight continuous 5 months I spent in 2 different monasteries in Canada. And it's been quite interesting as well to notice the process of emulation that happens between people, sort of harmony that creates itself as a peer support, where everybody's like-minded, everybody's welcoming the difficulty or the happiness of someone else. It's been really very interesting about that. With my personal situation, I have come to terms with deep grief that I carried with me for 7 years. Not that I'm not sad anymore for having witnessed the death of my only daughter. Not that I'm not sad, and I always maintain that, there will be always a grain of sadness, but that there's a big cloud of grief that was finally able to fly away from my own sky. And what was interesting is that this journey of living in monasteries started about almost a year ago in another place, in another tradition where I really wanted to stay, and I had made plans to spend a year and to do bodhisattva ordination, and I was really dedicated, and I wasn't understood. I wasn't even listened properly, as though my message was probably too strong, and the teachers there were not able to listen. There was, and I'm not afraid of saying, there was a lip service to my grief, and there was a lip service to compassion, that the message of compassion that they mainstream quite strongly, including chaplaincy programs, things like that. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that, but it started with a very bad tone, like not fitting the reality, and I wondered if it made me doubt a lot whether I had actually taken the right decision. And eventually I reached back to my heart, and I went to the Theravada tradition and found total opposite welcoming attitude and warm heart, and developed from there now. Developed friendships, spiritual friendships, and gathered quite substantive foundational insights that have removed the big cloud of grief that I was carrying around. I also have been given a new name, a Pali name, a Dhamma name, and this name is Asoka. Asoka comes from one of the last stanzas of the Mahamangala Sutta, which reads as Asokam Virajam Kemam Etam Mangalam Uttamam, which means an unshakable mind in contact with life contingencies, steady and secure, sorrowless is the highest blessing. So Asoka means sorrowless. And interestingly, it is a Pali name that has two sides, like many coins, like many of the elements. It's a pair. It's a pair of a contemplative pair of remaining unshaken by life contingencies on one side, and being already unshaken by life contingencies, which is expressed also by the courage and the resilience and the fearlessness that I seem to put around in my long life, decades of life around the world, which peaked with the death of my daughter. So on the other side, there is, whenever life throws, inevitably it's what I call the rotten tomatoes that are not fit for being consumed. I'm allowing myself to feel the shaking, to be shaken. But I contemplate this name Asoka and ask myself, all right, my human nature and the human nature of every human being is about this vulnerability at the face of life and death. Vulnerability of death. We aren't invincible at the face of death, for instance, or at the face of some diseases, or at the face of anything. It's life being so fragile. There is a human nature also, vulnerability of human nature that expresses that we are subject to feeling emotions, and as many teachers say, it's not wrong or right or wrong to feel emotions. It's just part of a human nature. What is important with these emotions is to remain, to understand them and to transmute them into something that allows for the betterment of our human nature, and not to give in all the time. And in that sense, Asoka for me means even when I am shaken by life contingencies, I can restore. I have a way, fearless and courageous way, to be solid, to return to my solidity and that vulnerability. It's like the bamboo. For me, Asoka, when I was given that name that day, I had a very big pinch in my heart. I had like a feathered arrow transpierce my heart, because it's the best name ever. On the one side, it really supported my meditation insights and gives me the strength and enlightens my own nature, which is of courage and fearlessness and being unshaken, the way I've done it. And on the other side, it reminds me that I have to cultivate that further. And beautiful nature, human nature. So I I have left a monastery with great difficulty, simply because I had to comply with immigration laws, but it's also because there is a harmony and there is a sense of peer support that creates itself living for a long time or an extended period of time in a monastery within a community. And it's quite interesting to discuss with people as well how they perceive how it is difficult to live. It's like a new family, and like-minded new family. It's beautiful. And now I am on my way to another monastery, and we will distill other insights. So these were my thoughts for today on the simple Dhamma for daily life, and that means be open, remain open to the presence of many teachers in life. Don't just I encourage everyone not to just stay fixed on one teacher. Really, it's really beautiful too, and they come in different shapes. They come in disguise. They come in different ages, different shapes, different colors, different languages. They all have something to bring to help us further to better our human nature. All right, please be good and be at ease. Metta to you. Thank you for listening.